Hello everybody, this is DGFX or Nick, and today I'm bringing you a new tutorial on how to motion track. This is going to be involving two new programs, or one new program most of you guys probably have never heard of or never had the courage of using, and that is PFTrack. As all y'all may know, or some people may know of close friends of mine, that's all I use is PFTrack to use my track my scenes, as well as the After Effects CS6 camera tracker. Now, I use the PFTrack for a couple reasons over Boju, and that's for the fact of, to me, I find it has a lot more control over what all goes on. It's a lot easier just to understand. It's a lot more straightforward than Boju. As we're working through this, you will notice some pros and cons. One just you immediately know of is PFTrack is a lot more advanced, and you can do a lot more than Boju than what you probably only want to do. Now the first thing I want to do is step into After Effects. We're going to start a new project, or save as a new project. As we all know, is I'm a huge organization freak, and that's the first thing I pretty much do is just save. First thing I do. So let's just call this motion track. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is import my footage. Just click in my project module, and then let's go to where your footage is at. I got some just simple footage from Studio over a new edit that I'll be working on soon. Now I'm just gonna drag the footage over to the new comp button, and I'll generate a new comp. Next thing I want to do is just cut off the points I want to keep. I want to start tracking where it starts moving. Next thing I want to do is let's stop it about right here. I don't really want a really long scene. About right there. And we're in, shrink up the area. Comes to settings, and I want to make sure this is all starts at 0, and I'm gonna hit Control and click on my time just to make sure I get back my frames, my normal time instead of frames. And that's my footage right there. Looks good. And I'm gonna go composition settings. I'm gonna rename this to Studio Rooftop Cinematic. There we go. So now I should have my footage and everything right there. Got it saved. It just all looks good. I'm gonna go back and just check. Next thing you want to do is go to composition settings, and you want to make sure your frame rate is of your footage. You want to make sure you remember that. Don't really care if it's 30 frames per second. Whatever your footage is, you about track it. It's pretty simple. It is like that. If you double check, just go to target footage main and make sure it's just a frame rate from file 59.94. So next thing you want to do is actually export it to your program you want to use to track it. So you don't have to use a JPEG sequence for PFTrack. So just go simple render output sequence to JPEG sequence. Format options, quality 10 maximum, okay. Video output, okay. And then now you want to output to, and let's go over to where you want to save it as. Now remember, when working with JPEG sequences, they make one picture for every frame of your footage. So you could have a footage that's 200 frames long, 200 seconds long, at 60 frames per second. So that's 60 pictures per second of that 200 seconds. Get me? Basically, in other words, it's going to make a crap load of pictures. So we're going to make a new folder where we want to save it as, and we're just going to call it JPEG sequence. Okay, and I'm going to open it up, and then I can just leave it as this app, Studio Rooftop Cinematic, save, and render. Now I know for this tutorial I'm using Call of Duty, but if you're anyone else who's using any type of other footage, this will work with any type of footage. I'm just using Call of Duty because 90% of my fans are watching this because of Call of Duty, but guys don't have to use this with just Call of Duty. So next thing we want to do is open up PFTrack. It looks like a little X with a black little bar through it. Open that up and should get your little CMD window as PFTrack is opening up. And there we go. Alright, so this is how your window should look like when PFTrack opens up. It might even have a couple more boxes up here, but it's no problem at all. The first thing you want to do, you see this right here, is create projects. Now, these are all my projects I worked on in the past. PFTrack is really weird in saving and everything like that, and it seems like it just keeps all of its projects kind of saved somewhere else in its own little preliminary files. But anyway, let's just go on. So you want to go to projects right here and you want to hit create. Now, you're not going to get a fancy little window pops up and says, oh, you want to do all this? No, you're just going to go over to the side and it's where you're going to start doing all your work. So your name, you're just going to name it. I'm going to name mine track. Then you have to go select your path of where you want this to be saved. I'm going to go to my Nick desktop and then motion tracking for beginners. Choose. And there you go. And just double check the path. C user / desktop Nick / desktop motion tracking for beginners. And then for my frame rate, I want to choose 59.94. And that all looks good right there. Just hit confirm. Then after you hit confirm, you get a completely new area of which the layout will look like. As you see right here, you'll see a bunch of little letters. Each letter represents a hard drive that's on your computer. So as I save mine in my desktop. So I'm going to have to go to my C drive, users, Nick, desktop, then motion tracking for beginners, JPEG sequence, and there you go. Now you won't see a bunch of little pictures of every single thing. You'll see it as already one pre-composed JPEG sequence. It'll show a little information if you hover your mouse over it. 156 frames, so roughly 2 seconds and 36 frames. So now I'm just gonna click and hold and drag all the way over here to my project bin. After you drop it into the project bin, you'll see your footage immediately pops up in the main right window. Now this is your main window of which all your tracking will be done. It's your preview window, and here's all your effects window, if I can get that straight. So the first thing you want to do is pretty much just track it. So you're going to right click on it, and as you see auto track. Now this is something completely new. So you don't see a little like another effects box pops up with all the effects on a layer. You actually work with nodes. Sorry guys, I'm just a little sick, but we can get through this. So nodes are really hard to explain, but think of as a tree right here. This is the main trunk, and this is all the little branches that kind of hide the trunk with all their leaves and appearance. Think of something like that. So it all has to be connected to what you want to manipulate. So we're gonna make sure auto track select, and we're gonna come down here and candidate number. Now this is just gonna go one by one of which one we need to know. If I don't really cover it, it means we really don't need to worry about it. Simple as that. Candidate number and target number. Candidate number is how many track points you want to allow PFTrack to create on your scene. The more you make, the better. The lower you make, better for your PC. Look at it like that. Also, another way to reference is when you go to say Lowe's and you're buying rope, you want to make a treehouse, a swing for your treehouse, and you're buying this rope and everything, and say you want to buy just a little bit extra, make sure you have enough. That's kind of how this is. So our candidate number, I'm gonna make 300 points. That's about my normal spot. And for target number, I'm gonna go about half of that. All right. Next thing you want to do is feature scale. You don't need to worry about that. Image you want to do is your search mode. There's a couple more, a couple of them. Optical flow is just kind of like the I never really used topic flow too much. It's never really popped out and really made a big difference. But my favorite is better accuracy. It's going to put a little bit more strain on your computer, as it really tries to define all the points and make sure you get a perfect track. This is really key here. But before I go completely to that, you will see also before I hit auto track, you will see this right here, and this is be all your track points right here. That's gonna be created in this little box. So let's just hit auto track, and I'm gonna come back to you as soon as it's done. Finished our track. Is all finished and cleared up. As you can see, we have good standing points, or point tracks. Everything looks pretty good. You don't have really too many drifty points besides on this wood texture down here. Some of them really just don't know what the hell they're doing. But a lot of the points kind of straighten up after you come there and do the camera solve, which we're going to start on next. So as we branch along the trees, it's kind of, whoa, we're going to right click on auto track, and you want to go over to camera solver. Click on it. Pretty much all you have to do for this is hit solve all. Let me just make sure there's nothing. Solve all. Replicates, there we go, 12%. Keep going, keep going, keep coming. I guess I can talk to you guys a little bit about news for this channel. Pretty much the tutorials are going to keep on coming on and off. Everybody loves them, and I'm doing one every other day. Probably going to limit myself right now. I'm just trying to get everybody to say, hey, I'm posting videos again. Come on, come watch me. That's pretty much how it's all going right now. Every Monday will be a new episode to my compositing a scene season. The reason I don't want to post one of those too much is because it's not really something I want to be spammed across my channel. Alright, but anyway, so back to a couple of this. As we see, our camera solve just solved, and if you look at this, you would probably just be like, want to quit now, like this program's pointless, and it's really why I just use this, because first of all, this camera solve right here, as you see, just slides across the track and everything like that. No big deal. Well, here's what you guys really have just did. You completely solved all your particles, allowing them to be full 3D particles you can put stuff on and really replicate your scene based off of those. As well, you created a plane, and the plane really has no data yet. You gotta kind of set which particles you want this plane to, say, be from. So say if I wanted this plane, say if my main center of this 3D work would be right here on this bridge, and I want the center of the whole map, the center of the whole 3DS world right there at that point. Then I'll just kind of realign this right there, be all perfect. But now, that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys now. So, we're going to right click on camera solver, and we can go all the way down to orient scene. This is pretty much how you flip around the world to where you like it gonna be. Now, here's where it comes in difference between Beaujeu. In Beaujeu, you have to do a bunch of complicated points. You have to select like 2x points, 2y points, 2z points to make sure your scene is like this. And then still, when you import in Cinema 4D to 3ds Max, you don't really get a correct track. So that's what I love about using this, is what you see as you export out, you actually get to see this grid and everything. And I don't know, it's just really good to get the scene looking nice, and you know it's nice before you even export it into Beaujeu. I mean, before you import it into 3ds Max or Cinema 4D. So, here's what you're going to do. After you clicked Orient Scene, you pretty much all you're going to do is click on a particle. Now, well, a null object. How to choose one is pretty much is where will your object you're putting into 3D space will be. That's pretty much how simple it is. So say if I wanted to put a guy walking on this little rooftop, I would want probably like the center of the rooftop, and then I would just narrow down my results to these particles. I mean these null objects. or points, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to call them points. So then I could pretty much narrow my selection even more. I choose some that are really aren't moving, the ones that stay on greener for a longer period of time, or the better ones to use, but necessarily not the ones you have to use. As you see right here, this green one right here, I just select it down here. Get my thing go. This one right here I selected right there. It's a pretty good point. It's not really too stuttery around and everything like that. So after you have your point selected, make sure you click it and it's blue and everything like that. You can go down here and hit set origin. Now the whole world should pretty much just shift it, but as you see, your whole world is centered to that one particle. So the next thing we'll do is let's just rotate it a little bit, using our tools down here. Edit mode, rotate, translate, scale, fly, box, axis. We're going to rotate a little bit just to try to get a line with this rooftop. Some of these lines help kind of get that true, make it look really good. Now next thing we work with is scale. Let's scale it down a little bit. We don't want that huge of a import into whatever program we use. About right there. That looks pretty good. As you see, we can probably alter it a little bit because you see it going kind of like a ramp up. So let's do a little bit more rotation. Now you gotta watch it. The rotation in this is super sensitive. So as you see, we just need to put a little bit more rotation on the that axis right there. There we go. And that looks pretty good like that. Maybe I can bring it back. Should bring it back a little bit. A little too much. Try to find a midpoint. No, that doesn't look that bad right there at all. So as you see, our whole scene is oriented right here. When you import it into Cinema 4D, it's gonna look exactly like this. This whole grid will be home ground. Home grid will be right there, flat on the ground. All you gotta start doing is putting objects in. It's already kind of flat on the ground. So all you gotta do is put your plane object, put a floor material on it. You got your floor set up. You import your sky. It'll be all centered around this area right here. So all you gotta do is go straight to start putting your objects in and all that, and you got a fully track scene. Everything is good. And that's pretty much how simple this is. Is why I love PFTrack. Now, I mean, as you can see, it took us about 15-20 minutes to do this whole thing with tracking. I mean, from rendering out to After Effects to probably by the time you export it into another program, it would take about 20 minutes to track. But you get quality over quantity right here. So that's what's good about this. Right. Next thing I'm gonna do is click on Orient Scene, or if it's not selected already, and you just want to go to Export. First, let me just show you something in case you want to really make sure you have that perfect thing. And you can import a test object. There's a cow head, a mushroom, and a tall marker. Just do a mushroom. Mushrooms aren't that bad. Let me go up to interface mode. Interaction mode is pretty much how you want to move it around and everything like that. And move it a little bit. Go back to the cow head. Let me just delete that because I don't really care for the cow. Yes, I should just have the mushroom. Drag it up a little bit. There we go. As you see, our mushrooms all tracked in perfectly. I mean, probably still raise that up a little bit, a little low. About right there. Now that looks good. Bring it around. And right there. Perfect. Now, I mean, you can leave the test object in. You don't have to delete it. You can just wait till you get to whatever program you use. Cinema 4D, after 3ds Max. And then you can delete it in there and there. Layer mode. So next thing you want to do is just go over here to export. Now here's a couple things you really have to pay attention closely as I do them to make sure you get optimal quality for Cinema 4D for y'all users, or 3ds Max for where we want to go. So pretty much to export in 3ds Max is simple. First, let's cover After Effects. After Effects really simple. waftereffects.ma. Show all trackers. Make sure you have all that set up. Then just scale your scene up. Sometimes you have to scale it on and off between bigger and little, depending on how your scene looks. See, as you see, our little floor plane just immediately gets small. You have 5% scale. Pretty much just work what you can right here. But yeah, so After Effects, you're gonna choose your file name. You're gonna select where you want to save it. Simple as that. So if you want After Effects, I mean, it already tells you Adobe After Effects.ma. Simple as that. So the next thing for Adobe 3D, Autodesk 3ds Max. You just gonna click Autodesk 3ds Max 2011. Simple as that. Again, select how much scale you want. The export scene, you're done. Make sure you choose your file name first. Now, Cinema 4D, as you see, there's no Cinema 4D format for this program, as this program's more for more higher production standard programs, as sadly Cinema 4D doesn't really make the cut for a high production company who really does all the crazy visual effects and all that. So what you're going to use is NewTek Lightwave LWS. This is another format that's native to Cinema 4D. If you don't know what that means, it means it allows Cinema 4D to work good with this program. Then you're going to choose your file name and then hit export scene. And that's pretty much it. Your whole thing is imported. All you gotta do is go to Cinema 4D, or 3ds Max, and import it into the scene. And that's pretty much it, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. If you want me to do another one of these tracking tutorials with Adobe After Effects CS6 camera tracker, just tell me in the description. If not, please remember just to show me support on these videos. I'm trying my best to get you guys what you want. I have a new edit coming out this weekend called Savas Gaming Promo, really good promo and everything like that. But yeah, so everyone, this is DGFX. Peace.